So our work environment looks very different today than it did just a few months ago. And so I'm going to take you through my work from home setup today and show you what it looks like, how I'm staying productive during these difficult times. So let's get right into it. So today I want to take you through my work from home setup, but I also want to spend a bit of time explaining why it's important not just in the short term to keep in mind for the lockdown and the quarantine, but why working from home and having a good setup is important for your future productivity and goals as well. So let's get into that. Why are we talking about productivity and how does that relate to peak performance? Well, when it comes to your primary flow trigger, it's not always something that you're doing at work, but in the spare time that you've got outside of work. And so the more productive you can be with your work day and what you've got to get done leaves you more time to focus on those primary flow triggers and whatever else you want to do in terms of hobbies. Now, it's also an important thing to keep in mind when it comes to optimizing or peak performance in the workplace as well, and the things that you can do to get into more of a state of flow with your work. Ultimately, personal development is crucial to finding your flow and living with more meaning, which is why I want to talk more about it today. So first up is the importance of building your Bliss station. And that's what I'm going to show you in terms of what I've got set up for myself. But in his book, Deep Work, Cal Newport talked about the importance of environment when it comes to deep work. And I often associate deep work very closely with a flow state and that creativity and performance that comes from optimizing your consciousness and your level of focus in the present moment. And it's also very important for the case of what Cal Newport talks about in terms of knowledge workers and needing to do more work that we can perform our best at as human beings that supersedes what robotics and AI can take part in. And one of my favorite points that comes from deep work is the importance of creating a sort of fortress of solitude for yourself. And in his book and many other books, we hear of examples of legends of productivity and creativity who have done such things, like Carl Jung, who actually built a cottage for himself where he would escape to for sometimes weeks at a time in order to get his best work done. We've heard more recently, Bill Gates does the same sort of thing when he goes off and has his deep thinking weeks where he'll read and be off the grid for a full week at a time and just thinking and coming up with new and exciting projects and creative ideas for himself. And so these are just examples of some of those titans of industry, those super productive and creative geniuses that we know and love to read about. But the same kind of thing applies to you and I as well in terms of getting into more of that deep work state or finding your flow in the work that you're doing, which is why let's talk more about building your Bliss station. So it was Joseph Campbell who first talked about building your Bliss station as that kind of place where you can go to do your deep work. And it's Austin Kleon in his book, Keep Going, who I found this concept a little more recently. If you haven't read Keep Going, I would definitely recommend that you check it out. It's a great one for that motivation and inspiration if you need it for creativity or in terms of entrepreneurship. And it's a very short and sweet book, but the tips and the advice in it is really and can be really life-changing if it finds you at the right time. But something that's important to keep in mind in terms of your Bliss station is you want it to be in a place where you can get your best creation and deepest work done, which often means that it's not going to be located centrally in your home where there's going to be a lot of distraction. A lot of people will set aside a small kind of, even if it's a closet or something that you can focus in and not have it be used for other purposes. Primarily, you want to keep it out of your living room and bedroom. Sometimes it does have to intermingle with your kitchen or dining area, which can be okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about the strategies that you can use to focus in and dial in a little bit more, even if you are working in an area like that, which is prone to distractions, especially at this time. So looking at my setup and what I've found works great for me is I'm using this standing desk, but it's not actually a desk. It's a bar that my dad built, and it's actually the perfect height for me to stand and work at. And so this is where I am doing most of my work throughout the day, as a place that I can focus. And one thing that I really want to encourage you to try to do is find a place that you can set up to stand at. We know from research that people are actually more productive when they're standing, partially because you can move around a little bit more. You're not in sort of that hunched over position all the time. And it allows you to keep kind of moving, shifting your position and posture throughout the day, which is going to allow you to keep focus and keep energized while you're doing work. So if you are looking to optimize your productivity, whether at home or at work, in the future even, I would recommend either looking into building your own standing or convertible sit-stand desk, or even consider investing in one. And it's very easy to get creative on how to make your own standing desk workspace. It doesn't require a lot of materials even, or a lot of investment in money, unless you really want to, because convertible sit-stand desks are quite expensive. But you can often use even a stack of books if you don't have a proper working height for your computer or your laptop or whatever you're going to be working on. I do recommend you have a chair or a stool nearby if you do need to adjust your position for a little while. And you'll also see I've got this acupressure mat that I tend to stand on throughout the day, because for one thing, it feels good to stand on, but also it allows me and kind of forces me to have to shift my weight and my position over the course of the day so that I'm not standing in one spot. And it does provide a little bit of cushion so that if you're on a hard floor or something, you've got a little bit of extra cushion and support if you're going to be standing for extended periods of time throughout the day. So once you've got your Bliss station set up and you figure out a spot that you can make use of, let's talk a little bit more about some of the productivity tips that you can use to stay productive throughout the whole day and get all of your work done, or get it done in faster time if you're looking to be more productive and make use of your spare time more effectively too. Let's focus on some of the general tips that you can use to become more productive. And then in the link in the description, you can sign up for a webinar that I'm going to do in terms of some of the digital tools that I like to use for productivity, as well as some of my tips for filming the vlogs and the podcasts at home, and some of that setup that's not necessarily relevant to everybody's situation when working from home. First up, what do you do if your Bliss station's not so blissful? Now, I know that not everybody's got a niche that they can carve out in their home to just be dedicated to their deep work or their Bliss station, especially right now when everybody's quarantined at home and you've got, whether it's kids or family members running around, occupying different spaces in your home. Everybody's kind of working on top of one another. And so it makes it difficult to have that space of your own that you can kind of cut off and block off from the rest of the world, which is where I recommend using some sort of noise canceling headphones. And a lot of people, will recommend the Bose or the Sony expensive headphones, but I've actually got these ones, which are about 70 or 80 bucks on Amazon. I've never tested the Bose or the Sony headphones, so I don't have anything to compare to. As far as I'm concerned, these headphones work great. They're both wired as well as Bluetooth, so you can use them wired in, or if you want to connect them with Bluetooth, you can do that as well. I've tested them on flights before, and they work great for droning out the sound of the plane and everything on the airplane. And so I definitely recommend that. They're available on Amazon, and you can check something like that out. I know also a lot of people are reviewing and recommending the new Apple Pro AirPods. Those ones are also supposedly really good for noise canceling. But if you're in a situation where you don't have a Bliss station of your own that's distraction free, you can create your own space pretty much anywhere using some noise canceling headphones. And a lot of people will also set up, the rule that over the ear means that you're working and not to be distracted. And so something a little bit bigger and bulkier can sometimes act as a symbol for that as well. And then the next productivity tip that I've got for you is in terms of time boxing. And I've talked about time boxing quite a bit in the past, especially in the 2020 Vision course that I released earlier this year, in terms of a really effective and elegant solution for making sure that you do only what you say you're going to do in a given time frame. So when you box in a time specifically for something, whether it's you're checking your inboxes and email, or you've got a certain project that you're trying to get done, that's all that you're doing in that time frame, and you're not allowing anything else into that time frame. And so take a look at your calendar and box in the time for whenever you've got to get things done. And you'll find that's one way that you can become quite a bit more effective at getting things done when you need to. In addition to that, you'd be surprised at how productive you can be and how much you can get done in even a 90-minute time frame if you block out all distractions and don't check social media or your inboxes during that time. And so in addition to time boxing, you can also consider optimizing the time that you're doing the work to also minimize the distractions in your environment. So what I mean by that is maybe you're doing your work first thing in the morning before the rest of the household wakes up, especially those most important tasks that need to get done. Or you can also do them towards the end of the night when everybody's started to go to bed or wind down for the day, and you're able to head into your Bliss station and focus for 60 to 90 minutes to get something very important done. And this is where some self-awareness comes in. You want to know yourself and whether you are more productive in the morning or you're more of a night owl and you tend to work better towards the evening or night. Just by knowing that about yourself can allow you to effectively time box your schedule to allow you that space to unwind and recharge while also focusing and optimizing your energy for the times where you're going to be able to get those tasks done that you need to. And so keep these tips in mind when you're building out your Bliss station and trying to be more effective when working from home. I think that this is important not only now when we're all at home, a lot of us are working from home or we're stuck in quarantine, but it's also important for future considerations, not just for the present moment. You may down the road want to start your own side gig or side hustle or whatever they're calling it these days. You may want to start something of your own entrepreneurial journey, and having these tools and tactics in place already will allow you to be much more effective when the time comes, and also allow you to build up the skill, because the skill and the talent of being productive is something that takes time to master, just like anything else. And so work on it a little bit each day and you'll slowly get better over time. So whether it is your own dream goals you're going to seek after this is all over, or you're currently in the midst of going after your dream goals, or maybe it's also in terms of seeking a promotion or getting a little more freedom at work. And in Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, he talks a lot about some of these strategies as well as others, because it allows you that freedom and that leverage to showcase to your boss that you can get more done than anybody else in a given time frame. So you can go from a 5-day-a-week schedule down to a 4-day-a-week schedule and still get more done. And it starts to create that freedom and that lifestyle design, as Tim likes to talk about. And then at the end of the day, whether it's for your own business or at work, the more productive you are, the more you can get done, allows you more of that freedom to pursue whatever it is you're most passionate about, and those hobbies and things that are your primary flow triggers that allow you to get into that deeper state of meaning in your life. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, hit that like button. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about some of the tools that I use on my computer, the digital strategies that I use to get more work done and be more productive. And I'm going to run that as a webinar just so that you can ask your specific questions, or also I can screen share anything to show you and showcase how it works. I'll also go through some of the gear that I use for podcasting and vlogs. So if you're interested in that, click the link below and sign up for that webinar that I'll be running in the next week. And remember to subscribe to the channel for more on peak performance, as well as these productivity tips while working from home and beyond. And of course, until next time, dream on and find your flow.